Interviews with Laura Kelsey, Jerry J.T. Terry, and Mark Knoblock.
Well, the first thing I'm going to let you know is my relationship with brother, Coach Jim Hayes. I'm his little sister, and brother and I developed a very strong bond relationship through going fishing, watching the basketball games. He was so proud of his boys. So we would come and enjoy watching the game, and he'd look up in the stands. He'd always smile, just knowing family was there.
How I got into basketball after my injury, there was really no place to play wheelchair basketball for a young man that was 15 years old when I first discovered wheelchair sports. And then my dad come across Coach Hayes, and he was coaching a junior wheelchair basketball team about 4 blocks from my house at that time. So he got in touch with Coach Hayes, and we went out to one of the practices, and that was how I was introduced to wheelchair sports, and I was introduced to Coach Jim Hayes at that time.
But Jim's whole goal in life was to change the way people viewed handicap, if that's what you want to call them, because we're all handicapped. He wanted the disabled to be able to do everything that the able-bodied could do. And I think his goals panned out.
Yeah, the early years, Jim was a player. The first couple of years, number 11, coached and played. I think it was my last year and a half. He just stuck to the coaching, but back in the day, he also played. And we were limited. We didn't have a lot of players back in the day, so it was hard to scrimmage. We even did scrimmaging and with the faculty, athletic coaches. Even after I graduated, we set up and had events where we played. Jim would coordinate, and we would play treasury agents, different city administrators and things from different organizations. In the early days, it was very instrumental with Jim's direction and fortitude for the program and what it could do for the students.
I've played wheelchair basketball for close to 33 years now. I've played on several teams that have been around the local area. A team called the Dallas Texans, and basically that team and the Dallas Mavericks, the Dallas Wheelchair Mavericks, and that's basically the 2 teams that I played for in this area. The first team I played for in this area, we started a new men's team with a bunch of young kids, 20 to 23 years old, and they were called the Bachman Lakers. And that is the only 3 teams I've ever played for. I've coached probably 5 teams in this area. I've coached the Lady Wheelchair Mavericks. I've coached the junior team for 15 years. And I've coached the men's team here on a couple of occasions.
The reason he made his run from Austin to UTA was to raise funds and awareness. He wanted people to know, that just because you're in a wheelchair doesn't make you unable. You're just as capable.
People I look up to are the people that got me started in wheelchair sports and kind of just showed me the way as a young man and just gave me the guidance that I needed to do the right things in life and just stay out of trouble. Those people were, of course, Jim Hayes, showed me a lot of things and opened a lot of doors and opportunities for me to thrive and become a better person. Ron LaBar, Joe Moss, and of course Randy Snow were very instrumental in becoming who I am today.
I initially came and participated in sports because it helped develop the skills that are needed for a work career as well as health improvement and development, learning to be a team player, coordinate, and achieve goals, set goals and achieve goals were very beneficial both here at UTA playing sports as well as when I graduated and went on in my career.
Hey, we're not handicapped. You know, we may have a few disabilities, but all of us do. We can do it if you give us the way. And that's what Jim's whole goal in life was to give away. You know, let everybody have the opportunity to an education. You know, show them that they could have fun, play basketball, play tennis, swim, numerous things.
The word of advice for me, I think a lot of people in wheelchairs just, they get apathetic of what they can do. It's like, I can only do so much. I can only do this, or I can only do that. My biggest thing is I just don't think there are any limits to what we can do. I still don't think we've hit our ceiling on everything that we can do. And if you've noticed the wheelchair sports that have just popped up and that are thriving now, that have become to fruition in the last 20 years, you can see where wheelchair sports are going, and we're just going to go even further. And if I can implore anybody just to keep trying their best and to test your limits, because I really don't believe that you have found your true limits yet. So just keep striving for everything that you can achieve.
He wanted to be an example for his boys, and he'd just say, okay, you know, let's just do what we can. Now, he wanted them to do their best, regardless of what they were doing. But if they blew it, you know, he didn't harp on it with them. You know, he'd correct them and go on, just like a father. And I was always ready to help him if he needed my help, if he needed my support. But most of the time, he was teaching me. He taught me how to change parts on a riding lawnmower. He directed me in changing an alternator on my mother's truck. You know, he just sits there going, okay, unloosen that screw, sis, you know, and that bolt, and I'd get that off, and he says, now you got to take this off, and I'd take that thing off, and he'd say, okay, now we got to put it back on, and you know, he would guide me through it, and I learned a lot from him. Going fishing, I mean, I hate to say it, but I always caught the biggest fish. But you know why? Because he gave me his fishing spot. And that's one thing I do know.
The most thing that I've seen from Coach was just wanting to strive and open as many opportunities to everybody as he could. And that's the main thing that I got from him going through life, is just, you know, just seeing the opportunity, trying to take advantage of the opportunity. And then as I've gotten older and being able to help out young people, I try to help out with young people. I try to tell them that they haven't reached their limits. Don't just, you know, be satisfied for what you got. You always want to try to strive to achieve more in life. And I think that's what Coach really did for me. And not just being around him a bunch. He opened many doors for me by introducing me to people. He introduced me to Randy Snow, which gave me my first track chair, which opened that door for me. So there was many things that Coach did for me that people, or even Coach doesn't even realize that he did for me at that time. And I'm really, really, truly appreciative.
But Jim spent his life trying to make life better for everybody. Not just the disabled, but for everybody.